Alright, my fellow cogs in the fucking machine, it's time to look at prebunking. This is a new buzz term that's currently being used by Google. Based on evidence and tests, we have determined that this is a good idea. Just fucking trust us, you dumb fucks. Our multi-billion-dollar corporation is gonna look out for you little people. That worked so well in the past, by the way. Prebunking is a new terminology. It's newspeak. It's like 1984 that they've dreamed up to cover the concept. Think of the central premise before you bother with the term. The term just describes the premise. In propaganda, it is being misused, typically to mislead people, like Patriot Act or clean coal or anti-fascism. Prebunking, really writ large, is globalist disinformation that is preemptively put out there to hijack algorithms to prevent people from interacting with other content that is more true. That is what prebunking is. It is corporate propaganda. It is going to make use of, and they're being very open about this part. I can link in the description, archived of course. Archive everything. It'll become more important over the couple next years. What it really will do, if you look at the overall suggestion, is it will draft content creators who have been handpicked. They've been cherry-picked according to their ideology. It's basically like ESG for content creation, if you want to think of it that way. They take the Skittles bowl of content creators, they astroturf them, they pay them, they take these family-friendly creators and give them talking points, they put out their material, and they're rewarded for this by getting automatically algorithmically boosted. So as long as you participate in Google's content creation vlog ESG, your content will outperform all other content and automatically be at the top because they're pushing it with the notion that they're prebunking something to prevent people from believing lies. That's how they're selling it. So you're going to have to boost that content. And it's not all going to come direct from Google HQ. I mean, if YouTube's own channel starts putting out prebunking videos, it's going to look inorganic and astroturfed. But if you use middlemen creators that you've already bought off, all of a sudden it looks organic because those contracts are not necessarily always public. The fact that this content creator suddenly went from 6,000 subscribers to 600,000 subscribers. Wow, you're quite a success, but behind the scenes, yeah, but everything that they post is automatically getting fucking boosted on the site and on other Google services. And they're getting investment. They've got the toys that make the noise because they've got their six-figure budget and shit like that. What's going to happen over the next few years is that there will be more and more censorship on YouTube and other mainline sites. This is partially a lead up to the 24 election. You're going to see more corporate disinformation, more uniparty misinformation, and the oddity is that the fight against Disinfo that they claim to be waging will be the Disinfo. The fake news will literally be what is presented as anti-fake news. They're trying to invert reality here using linguistic propaganda, using newspeak and using astroturfing. That is what will happen. There will be more and more people banned or that will leave the site because, once the algorithmic distortion is increased further, a lot of people simply won't even be able to fucking make ends meet. I mean, if you're ad reliant at this point, you're crazy. This is why I branched out onto other sites and monetary sources many years ago. I've spent, what is it now, a half decade encouraging other creators to do it. How many of them have seriously made an effort to do so? They're like, oh, well, yeah, I've got a BitChute channel. Well, that's great, and you're not on Rumble or Odyssey. Oh, yeah, well, I made a Substack. Okay, that's great. And you think that you're going to make ends meet by writing the occasional blog article. Good for you. You will totally survive the next purge. You need to branch out, and if you're not a content creator, most of you don't really create content regularly. You're not trying to be an influencer or whatever. But you have other people that you watch, that you like their content. In order to make sure that that content stays around intact and is still there, you should be trying to force these people, drag them kicking and screaming onto new tech. I see so many people, they've got a new tech channel or presence in general, but they never promote it. They don't do what I do every single day, which is pin a comment in the first video linking to my other video hosting sites, because of course if it's on YouTube, you're mainly watching video probably. They're not doing that. Prebunking will rip YouTube apart. It'll spread out. It'll be very successful at its real goal, which is censoring people and making it sound family friendly. It's not censorship, it's removing disinfo. It's not spewing out paid corporate propaganda talking points that are partially linked to the US and other governments. It's prebunking. We're just trying to keep the narrative clean. We're just preemptively fact-checking on sensitive topics like whether or not a political scandal involving someone who literally funds us happens to be real. Can't even liberals see the massive contradiction here? The massive conflict of interests? Like, Jimmy Dore should be talking about this. He probably will be the only one that actually does, which is why he'll be algorithmically demoted. I've been algorithmically demoted by YouTube for years now simply because of the affirmative action / ESG of promoting my competitors. They've been doing this with the legacy media through the priority system since 2017. Yeah, I wonder why I never got that gold play button. I don't think that I ever will. Meanwhile, I've got a Rumble award coming, and I'm fast approaching the threshold of getting the next one already. There are other sites that are not doing this sort of bullshit. BitChute and Rumble. Yes, you should get on Substack. You should use Subscribestar instead of Patreon, etc., etc. You should get on Gab. You should use Getter for what it's worth. These sites are functional. Hell, there was a corporate propaganda piece the other day about Rumble. Well, Rumble is the only alt-tech site that sort of took off and weathered the storm. Well, no, not really, but it's interesting that you're fretting about them so much. Well, this site that's full of far-right disinformation and evil. Orange Man has a presence there. He has over 1 million subscribers. Oh my god. By the way, Trump's Rumble presence more important than his fucking Truth Social presence. That can be amplified more easily and typically is. When he puts out his campaign messages, people actually see them. He needs to get his ass back on Twitter, and for what little it's worth, Facebook and Instagram, do it as an afterthought. Now, prebunking is itself not debunking anything. It's an attempt to change the narrative proactively. Partially, it'll probably be tied into Google's AI systems, by the way. They'll run it through that in order to manipulate people. In order to manipulate people into thinking that this war is good because we've pre-bunked talking points against this war. The other people over there, they're savages, so it's okay to kill them. That's basically what it boils down to in the Foreign Policy Department. We're already seeing this with Ukraine. Yeah, we should have more government. We've pre-bunked these evil talking points from the pro-gun group, the Gun Owners of America or something. Have you seen what they're doing to GunTube, by the way? They are constantly abusing anyone that has a firearms-related channel. They banned many of them. I'm surprised Demolition Ranch is still there. It's probably just because of the number of subs they have. They figure they don't want to piss off that large-sized an audience, so they'll just demonetize everything preemptively. They'll pre-bunk the concept that the militia is actually the people. We've pre-bunked that. Now, because this New York Times article that we take as the gold standard says it actually refers to soldiers or something like that, it'll be disinfo. It'll be wrong. But it'll get treated as though it's right, and if you argue against it, there will come a time in which they will begin to ban people for that. They've already been talking recently, I think a few months ago, about the possibility of blocking out content that denies climate change exists. Of course, you won't have to deny that it exists, you'll just have to deny that it has a mainly anthropic source or something like that. Or that the NIMBYism of the Paris Climate Accords would actually tackle the issue if you perceive it as being one. Oh, you get banned for that too, probably, in the future. So if you want to have frank discussions, YouTube and similar large tech sites, I hate to tell you this, there's no way to grab them back from the precipice that they've gone over. They're already falling. You will fall too if you attempt to do that. By the way, Susan Wojcicki is exiting. Do you think this might be a Jack Dorsey moment? When YouTube and Google in general announce sweeping new changes that are clearly political in nature, and all of a sudden the CEO says, yeah, after 25 fucking years working with this company, I've decided to call it quits. When clearly she enjoys the power and prestige of that position, and certainly the goddamn income. Don't even want to know how many zeros are on her fucking income statements. Don't you think it might be a little bit like Dorsey, who was having a great time but inexplicably decided to cut and run off Twitter a few months before acquisitions started to happen, and a few months later then all of a sudden you get the Twitter files? With Twitter completely reorganizing itself? Don't you think that's what's going to happen here? It's not broadcast yourself, it's go fuck yourself. That's about all. Peace out.